YouTube. And good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It is April 4th. Hope you guys all had a fantastic week. Markets certainly have not, unless you're a gold trader. Gold has been making its way higher. We had a very strong sell-off yesterday, but we have to remember, pretty sure everything sold off yesterday due to our liberation situation. I like that, liberation situation. Right now, we are looking to see if at any point markets do want to start to hold, find their bottom, so to speak. Before we had our liberation situation, we did start to base out, right? Before we had, this was Thursday, so we had, on Wednesday, Trump spoke at 4 p.m., 4:15-ish, because, to be a little casually on time, or however they say it. What's the phrase? But, what's that?
I was going to say fashionably late.
That's it, fashionably late. Yep. So he spoke around like 4:15, whatever. Futures markets open down. They sell off. Strong momentum to the downside. I mean, from this day's close to this day's close, 5% move on ES, 280 points. That's huge. And now at this point where we are right now, 7%, 416 points. And that's just from this move. From all-time highs, guys, we're currently trading below 15%. 15%. We surpassed the correct. Are we in a correction phase? This is that correction, right? Once we're below 10% on a stock, or on, in this case, the ES, the market, we are in a correction phase. So once we were below that 10%, which was right over here, which look, at first we hit 10%, and markets were trying to hold. Markets were trying to sustain for a while, right? It looked hopeful up until, again, we had a lot of uncertainty going on, so the market stayed range bound up until the news, which then catalyst pushed us in this direction. We had good volume on that breakout, so we would probably be looking for continuation today. So look, again, this is the 10% down move. I'm going to mark that out with a key level so I know. And we're going to mark that out as our correction level. So we'll do correction on there. And we will make it red. Perfect. So that's our correction level. But once we're below that, we are in a correction. We're in a very strong bear market. Very difficult and careful to trade this. Now, the reason we were looking at gold this morning is because we know that we're in a bear market. We know things are looking more indecisive. And when things are more difficult in the market, people look to invest in things like gold. We could also keep an eye on the dollar as well. Let's see where the dollar is headed. Probably down. Let's see. So here's the dollar right now. And it's trying to make some higher highs, trying to make some higher lows. If we're looking at gold, look, now gold's trying to push back towards this demand zone. Now, what I would want to see on gold is, first off, we don't really have much resistance. We don't have not much resistance at all. We actually have a lot of low volume shelves up here that we might want to get back into. Now, in this demand zone down here, we have a lot more volume accumulated over here. We have a lot stronger delta, buying positive delta. So I would still be interested in seeing how buyers react off of this demand zone on gold to potentially hold us and continue us higher today, with the rest of the market having the uncertainty that we might either sell off or stay range bound. So it's really going to depend on how the ES and NQ are looking to trade as well. Now, we could take a look at our equities, and that would give us an idea too to see, are we below their previous day's low? Okay, so Meta below previous day low, Microsoft, Apple, Tesla, yup. Nvidia, yup. AVGO, yup. Okay, equities are below their previous day's lows, and they're looking to continue. This is bearish on indices, ES and NQ. This is bearish on those. So I come back to my 15, my 5-minute, and I see that we're sort of range bound, right? We broke a lot of demand zones, but we ran through these a few times, so we could delete these. Let's see. I'm thinking of keeping like one. There's got to be one that has some type of value, but I would think maybe this 15-minute demand zone because we broke through it and we already started to reject it. And we even created a fair value gap over it as well. So now we could look for us to take out this pre-market high on ES for possibly a short position if equities are still looking bearish too. So this might be a nice short position on ES. We could take a look and see also. Just put gold next to ES. You know, do we have any resistance levels up there? 53.30, 53.30. Look at that. That's right in that level, right above our pre-market high and right in that zone for some shorts. So we could see if sellers want to step in at that. Oh no, it looks like there's heavier at 43.42, which again is right near. Now that's near the key level that was created. This 15-minute key level, 43.42.75. We have right up here 43.41 like 75. So almost a point away. So we'll see if sellers want to step in on ES at that point up there. Guys, if you're here on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Do appreciate it. Drop a comment. Let me know if you trade futures, stocks, or options, and what you're trading, if you took any trades so far. It is still pre-market. Market opens in 30 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Getting some holding on gold.
Gold's in a fair value gap.
What time frame?
1 minute.
Oh, boo.
Well, just whatever.
Oh, I see what you're saying. A bearish.
Target 1. Southside target 1, 3093. Followed by 3019.
Oh, if we could inverse this fair value gap, that's your trade. If. All right, market's open, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see how we trade, how we react. Remember, guys, gold, I was saying the higher time frames haven't really been lining up for a reversal just yet. However, yesterday, we had a very strong move when the market opened. We are in this demand zone right now. Maybe we want to sweep that pre-market low one more time and look to reverse again. Maybe we hold the demand zone. Right now, there's too many maybes for me to personally take a trade. I'll keep an eye on gold to see how we react. I also want to take a look at ES to see how we trade off of that key level and off of that 53.43 level. There we go.
Right,
some buying on ES.
Target was hit.
Look at that, Kev, for gold. Like I was explaining the at least range how I would trade it, but like check that out. So there's a picture above explaining it. Go right there. Right there, yeah. So I just say that I like it to close above there and then come back into demand.
Beautiful, dude. That's great. That's perfect, right? The market structure shift, retest demand, and target like a high or something. Awesome. Good job, man. Guys, if you're on YouTube too, don't forget, join our community at bullishbrs.com. Join us live trading every day. Some futures, do some pre-market plans, some analysis. You guys got any questions, you guys can always feel free to ask. And if you guys have any in the Discord, guys, if you guys want to see any specific charts or anything that I don't personally trade or show, you guys can let me know. You know, I do trade some stocks. I haven't in a long time, but I have in the past. And analysis is analysis, right? So we could go over it, find some key levels, some supply, demand, support, resistance, depending on what it is. I definitely have done better in the past on large cap equities than I did small cap. But again, analysis is analysis along with volume as well. That's sort of what we look for breakouts, continuation on any type of stock, right? Because volume moves markets. Now here we go, ES with the pullback here. Now we mentioned that yesterday had such good volume to the downside, so we'd be careful on taking any longs. Gold also pulling back right now. Take a look at crude too. Look at this. Crude, gold. All these charts look similar right now. They all look like they're topping off right over here. Hey, yo. But gold with some selling pressure again, failing to break this pivot out of demand. Right? Sort of like how Random had it set up. How he had the order block and then the sweep, and then that would be your entry on the order block. I had this big demand zone, so it was a larger time frame demand zone. I needed us to sweep even just this pivot high right here, and then retest maybe a fair value gap or something. We did not get that setup, therefore, no setup, no trade.
All right, second target hit on gold south.
Nice.
We just got the low of the day down at 88.7. So if we draw a fib here, let me do that.
Apple's at 193. Nvidia's at 98. Oh my goodness, guys. This is, oh my god. Meta at 510. Jeez. Oh man.
All right,
what a time to be a trader. What's that?
Just looking at a fib on gold on this most recent little pullback. That gives us south side targets of 30.85, I'm just going to say, followed by 30.80. I'm rounding. So those are some potential fibs. We do have to kind of watch for a reaction around 30.87 because that'll be the 111 fib, and that a lot of times is stick your toe out and go back inside the box. So if you're trading south on gold, 30.87-ish, if it gets down to that, move your stops immediately to lock in because that would be a rejection point.
My phone has this fun habit of blowing up every time the market opens. Moderna 52-week low again at 25.25 per share. Bank of America by the way, that's crazy. Moderna at $25 a share. Hold up a second. Wait a second. Moderna. You gotta be kidding me. Moderna the one that was at like over hundreds per share?
Yeah,
no.
Moderna's 80% down.
Wow.
Versus where it was back in COVID.
Oh my lord, yeah. No kidding. Damn, man. Talk about a nice short position. That's crazy,
dude. Target 1 on gold south. Target 2 coming up at 30.80.
I had Pfizer at some point around 28. I think it was last year. Damn, that's actually crazy. I did not know it was down that bad from those highs. Alright, look at gold, guys. Another break on gold. Now, this is the 30-minute demand zone that we held yesterday on gold. So let's take a quick look at GC. And look at these price levels. These are all passive buyers. We just had a weird spike lower and higher, back higher on the footprint. So very key level right here on gold. Very key zone. We're going to see. We had another absorption, strong selling absorption right there, but a big passive buyer trying to step in. But sellers are trying to keep it low at the moment, so we have to be careful. There we go. Nice spike on the CVD to the buy side right there. This might be a good spot to try a gold long.
So that was an area on my chart on the 15-minute. I had marked a demand area there. It stuck a toe into it. It also hit 50%. That was the second target south. It's got a doji that it did on the 1 minute, bounced back up. Coming back up to the VWAP extension band. So this will be a reaction area where it is right now.
Dude, it's got to be 80. Somebody said not 80%. It's got to be 80%. 94%. More than 80%.
Okay, there
Somebody
you
said
go.
on YouTube not eat. I thought they meant like it was like less than. I was gonna say ain't no
I said
way.
it. I said that it was down 80% from its COVID high.
Yeah, no, I remember you said that, and I thought that was right. That's why when he said it's not, I was like, what?
Oh, okay. Still,
Nice. What's
you
that?
know, still somebody made an incredible amount of money off of COVID,
Yeah.
right? Lots of
Yep.
people made money off COVID.
A lot of people. Nice. That was a good buy bubble right there. Good buy area. Same demand zone as yesterday. Nice flip right there. I love that. And remember, yesterday, again, we had in the morning on gold, market opened and it just sort of shot up. Now today, we had market opened, we pushed lower, and now we're trying to push back higher. So I really do want to see. We have green CVD. That means there's more buyers in this session right now than sellers. I really want to see us move higher. 3120 for a possible target. Wow, look at that, 3,200. Next major level on Bookmap, 3,200. Imagine gold rallied off these levels, guys, and continued. It's possible. It's more than possible.
Gold's hit a half back from the 916 candle. So if it rolls back over and goes south, 3070-ish to the south for a short.
Yeah, man, look at these longs, dude, lining up real nice. Good quick reaction off of that price level, too. I just said, oh, negative 95. Yo, what's going on, Darko?
Tiny little bit of a chop area around 97, so we may stick a toe into that. Though we just had a big bar right here on the 1 minute on gold. Yep, there we
Boom.
go. Into that little chop area.
Wow. That's clean, man. And look at the volume, guys, that came with that. Huge volume stepped in.
All right, VWAP band at 3102.
Nice. Wow. That's crazy. I do have a key level coming up here too at 3100. Gotta look at these as key psychological levels. 3100, 3125, 3150, 3200. You know, these are key psychological levels because if we don't have any supply or demand or support or resistance levels there, those are the levels people go by subconsciously, psychologically. Look at ES, nice drop. Somebody sprayed mace in ES's face. This Bookmap level right here, we broke it, came back into it, came above it really, and used it as resistance. Let's see. Yo, KWS, it's funny, man. I don't see the comment that says negative 95%. I only see the not 80. Let's see. Look at this again with gold. Now let's look at gold on the volume footprint too. So look at this big point of control down here. But then we reversed on them, right? So if we could remain up here, if this volume could remain bullish on gold up here, we could look to continue. Now right now on gold, this is our volume range right here. 3189, 3189, up to like 3100. So this is our range on our point of control sort of in our volume for the last little bit now. So if we could get above this 3100, we might look for continuation at that point. This is crude oil. Crude oil, very similar chart to ES right now. Look at ES on the 15. where it had a few green and then a few red pullback, few green, few red pullback. So very interesting how those are sort of trading in the same algo in a way. All right, let's see. So again, point of control holding up higher here on gold. We would want to see this 585 move to like 600. Want to see this 537 also move higher. We have a positive delta right there too. It is looking good for these buyers coming out of this demand zone, coming off of the test of this 30-minute demand zone. And that's sort of what we got yesterday too. We traded into this demand zone, and then we moved higher. And we trended higher that day. So we're looking for similar price action out of that demand zone again. Look at that point of control. 680 now, perfect. It's going to be 700, great. This one's at 650. We really want to see the follow through here, guys. YouTube, smash that like button. Guys on Discord, let me know if you guys taken any trades yet today. You know, it's only 15 minutes into market open, so we'll at least get our orb there. That's good too. You know what? That 1 minute fair value gap would have played out pretty well to the downside, to the demand zone. It's funny. Okay, so let's check that footprint one more time. Because now look at this. Sellers keep trying to hold it below this 3098, 3100 level. And we could sort of see that because the delta has been around 360, 370 for that whole candle. So sellers were sort of creating a wall right up here. So we do have to be careful if we are looking for any longs, because right now, if we're looking at price action, we are still creating lower highs, even though we're coming off of this demand zone. So if we are waiting for an entry, unless you're trying to get some type of demand entry, where you get towards the bottom, you know, we might want to wait for some type of breakout or breakout and retest. What did I just do? Oh, what? I don't know. Alright, so there's the 15-minute orb. We'll mark our orb high and orb low. Check the NASDAQ too. Orb high. Here's some gold buyers, but again, they really need to break through this passive sell wall around 3100. So NASDAQ for the moment wicked below its orb low, but we have to be careful because I would assume NASDAQ has way more double breaks than ES does. I can pull up Edgeful if you guys want. See some stats on that. Happy Friday, everybody. Boy, oh boy. Alright, let's check out Edgeful. What's in play? Gap, bearish. Gap size 0.87%. See detailed view. I want to see the orb. That's cool. This is really cool. I like that. What I like about Edgeful too is that they're constantly updating. You know, they're a newer platform, so there are some bugs and issues, but they are constantly putting in new things and taking suggestions and stuff. That's right. ES hasn't had a breakout or breakdown yet. We see that we have a double break 61% of the time. Current day is Friday. Let's go to customize. No, let's go to report. And let's go to by weekday. We have a, look at that. We've had double breaks for 4 of the past 5 trading days on ES on Fridays. So maybe what we could look for is to see if sellers step in above our orb high over here and find a short position. We have VWAP lining up. We have a pre-market high over there. We have the orb high over there and target demand down here. That'd be an interesting trade. Keep an eye on that. ES and Q crude gold. Chopping and bopping around. Guys, let me know if you want to see anything different on Bookmap. I could pull up ES. I know we were looking at gold mainly today, so I figured I would keep that up so we don't miss anything. And again, something with gold is all this positive delta. If we're looking at the session volume profile on just the delta, we see that each volume shelf is mainly positive deltas. We even had that huge spike down here of buying. Look at that major positive delta that spiked.
All right, so gold is in the middle of this box from 9:15 to 9:36. Looks like it's getting ready to start a run south. There's a fair value gap on the 1 minute it's messing with. First target 89 south, second target 86.
Gold having trouble with this wall up here. And remember, this wall isn't just a wall of sellers, it was the high of this volume shelf over here, of all of this range. So anybody that was trying to buy the break before we break ends up stopping out down here. And now we want to see if we want to add fuel and move lower, or if them stopping out, which means, you know, them selling, is the extra volume needed for institutions to start filling their orders. So we have to be patient here. We're starting to push lower into these low volume areas too. We're just gonna wait. We could check the 15-minute time frame. Okay, so perfect. I do like how the 15 looks. If we could break the 15 high, then I would probably definitely be looking for some longs on gold. But right now, without finding support over here, it's too tough. 30-minute. 1 hour. 1 hour closes in 8 minutes. We could also wait for that, guys. No reason to rush in or out of anything.
All right, 86, first target south.
Yeah, we had some old price levels of passive buyers down here too. 30.84.90, like 30.85, and 30.80. So, you know, you gotta wonder too, were those really passive buyers? And if they were, are they going to try to defend their position and hold us higher? Or
There's a gap at 30, 80, 70 cents. 30, 80, 70 cents.
30, 80, 70 cents. Gotcha. 30, 80, 70 cents right over here. Okay. Yeah, that's the point where we started to reverse. Nice. You know, something else I would note with gold is that we've been, as much as we're trying to hold this demand zone and push higher, this long position failed and we moved lower. This long position failed and we ended up moving lower. This long position failed and now it looks like we're trying to move lower. So things are really starting to run against gold in the long run. Yo, Darko, 3080 big level, you know it, you know it. Yeah, 3080 was yesterday too. Again, that demand zone on 30-minute time frame, huge level, huge. Guys, give me 30 seconds. Go see what the dog's barking at. Make sure everything's all right. Let me know if you guys taken any trades so far today, or if you're bullish or bearish, or what you're looking to trade.
All right, gold is coming down to this VWAP band, which is now presently around 3084.6.
We are back. So yeah, look at that again. Another failure on gold to the buy side. Crude on the other hand rejected this 15-minute sort of a supply zone here, right? It was, I guess, more of an order block. A supplier demand would be at a pivot high. Order block. Those are also usually at pivots, but this would have worked out okay as an order block. Whichever way you slice it, right? Take a look at ES on Bookmap here. Can you please give us how this?
Okay, target hit. Next target down, 82.4.
Someone asked on YouTube, can you please give us how the sign would be to buy or sell? Well, usually if we're looking, a sign to buy or sell would be sort of what we call confirmation. So if I'm looking for confirmation myself, I trade a lot of supply and demand. So I would look for either a long position inside a demand zone or a short position inside a supply zone or a broken demand zone. So a confirmation for me that I might be looking for today would be, I see this is our VWAP line, this blue level right here. This blue level lines up with this pivot high right here, which is our pre-market high over here. This is a recent pre-market high. Pre-market high is like way over here. This is our recent pivot high. So what I was looking for, and also we have a broken demand zone lining up there. We also have a 15-minute fair value gap in that area too. Along with that, we have our orb high right here. And I also know that we statistically usually have a double break on ES on Fridays. So if we could get our first breakout to be to the upside up here, I'm going to look for a heavy volume to step in with a long rejection candle moving lower. And that will be my short position trade on ES after we reject this 53.22 and VWAP level. Now, if we do...
I flip a quarter 3 times and go with the average. You know, 2 heads just go long and 2 tails just go short.
That's really funny. Or you flip 3 coins. One is for which session you trade, one is for long or short, and one is for risk to reward. 2 to 1 or 3 to 1.
Hey, I like that. I'll have to try that one.
So gold is still range bound, but again, making its way lower. And like I mentioned earlier with our analysis, our candlestick time frame technical analysis lining up with our volume analysis. Well, right now, volume analysis wise, again, it was looking bullish over here until we failed. What was looking bearish over here? Well, not much was looking bearish. We even have a green CVD. But what was looking bearish on the chart? Almost everything. Every time we tried to buy out of this demand zone, we failed and made a new low. We went out of this demand zone, we failed, made another low. Tried one more time here, now we're failing, and it looks like we want to go lower on the candlestick analysis. So once these things aren't lining up together, it's either a no trade or we be patient and wait till they do line up together. Because this confirms this. Bookmap confirms analysis, right? Order flow confirms analysis. Let's see. Do you ever watch silver, copper to see if gold will follow? No, not really. You think gold will dump? I know, I was looking at gold. We wanted gold to push higher off of this demand zone, and it is trying to hold for the time being. I mentioned that if these were, which they were passive buyers, if they were either A, passive buyers that were looking to get long on gold, or B, they were people that were already short and they were looking to get out on gold. Whatever the case may be, it gave us a strong reaction. Buying volume stepped into the market on gold. We started pushing higher. Now that gives me the idea that, okay, maybe these were real buyers. CVD started spiking much higher too. This is looking very bullish. This is in a demand zone. Now we start pulling back lower again. What I want to know is, are these real buyers, and are they going to defend their trade? And do they want to see us go higher too? But again, we have to remember that we also looks like we were coming off of a passive buyer down here, and we failed, and it's just wasn't looking consistent on gold. So right now, it's a no trade on gold. Looking at crude is also in a no trade kind of zone, because look at how bearish crude was to the downside yesterday, and now even today pre-market had a huge move to the downside. Now the reason also I'd consider longs on gold is because it is in this range down here, and this is a very strong bottom of the range type situation, right? I wouldn't take any shorts down here, and when I'm asking myself if I should take a trade, especially if like I'm saying, oh, should I go long in this demand zone, I also want to ask myself, if I'm saying no, I wouldn't go long here, well, would I go short here? You got to sort of have that debate with yourself, not so you could force a bias, but so that you could be a bit more clear that the direction isn't clear.
All right, gold had a little bit of a pullback. If it continues south, first target's going to be 3078.5, which is around the low from 936. That'll be a 50% move of the box.
Let's see. Exhausted Trader asked you in here. Yes, perfect. Is anybody else trading on Top Step? My platform keeps freezing. I do not. Guys, do you guys trade Top Step? Anybody on YouTube or anybody else in the Discord? If you guys trade Top Step, let me know, or let Exhausted Trader know in the chat if it has been freezing on you. So right now on ES, I'm looking at it, I'm going, wow, this has a huge negative CVD, negative 19,000. We have all this red delta over here, all this volume accumulation, and yet, I'm looking at the candlesticks over here on this 5-minute, and it looks like it wants to try to break higher towards the orb high. 15-minute, not really giving me a reversal. The 30-minute, however, could be giving me a reversal based off of this candlestick right here. We have our long basing candle, small red body. If we started to push higher and didn't create that long of a lower wick on this candle, this could be a reversal. The hourly just closed too. Look at this red basing candle on the hourly. Again, if we find buyers, could be looking to go long. But we have to remember, higher time frame, daily time frame, very bearish market, has been having a very difficult time digesting the whole tariff situation. Exhausted Trader, as for the Top Step, I'm not seeing anybody else say anything. I think they have a Discord. Let me see. Also, it's good to check out what how's the volatility, right? If we're having really wicky moves, then it could be a little laggy. But definitely keep an eye. We have a key level right here, 5271.
Gold is broke, prior day low.
Oh. That's what I was saying, guys. That price action wasn't lining up with the volume, but now, again, we still have more buyers down here. 3070. 3070, we have 150 lots to buy. But gold, and even with all these buyers, gold has been trying to push lower today. It hasn't been having the smoothest drop either. As much as it's not having the smoothest pop, it's not having the smoothest drop. Crude oil, very range bound as well. If we looked at the 5-minute chart, practically untradeable, guys. Gotta be aware of which markets fit our criteria and our best trading conditions. Really strong buyer around 52.29.75 on ES down here. 52.29.75. That's right near demand. So if anything, if we move lower and have a break down first, could maybe look for a demand long position for us to hold that pre-market low. But we're going to see. We just got to wait for the market to head towards one of these directions and hit one of these levels to give us our setup. Hungry for a big trade. Will the market give me some breakfast? Here we go. ES, I said on that 5-minute was looking more bullish. So if we could hold this point of control and move higher. Well, look at that. Each time buyers try, sellers smacks them down. Let's see. I'd probably wait for gold at this point on like, oof, man, it's just so ugly on every time frame. It's just bearish. I'd probably wait for gold for like tomorrow or Monday or something. Same with ES, very difficult. Guys, gotta remember too, it's Friday. We've been getting very volatile price action. Things could sort of slow down on Fridays. 10 seconds left. Let's see if we accumulated long enough for a pop or a drop. 2 seconds, and we're going to stay range bound. Where's NASDAQ trading at? Random, you take any more trades?
I'm just looking at like gold broke that level, so it just became resistance. That 30-80 level, yeah, it broke that. So not like, to me, like it flipped.
Yeah. Nice.
Or it gets
nice.
back and finally take it there. But I've been training my brain pretty hard to like not care. It's just when it gets below it, flip. I had my levels, you remember this morning I had the 360s level.
Yep.
3060s level. Well, I had 380s, but if it got below there, the 3060s. So I'm just playing it that way.
Nice. Very good. Here's another strong 3070 level I said before with bookmap on gold. It's 3070.
50%. Yeah, the 50% move on that's going to be 68.
Ooh.
Okay, well, there we are.
That was nice.
Sadly, I'm trading on paper today. I'm hitting all my price targets.
Oh,
I'm having
man.
to do paper. Well, I'm having a cool off. I got wiped out yesterday with the daggone tariffs.
Oh,
I had
yeah.
I had a bunch of options running, had stops on them. It just walked right past my stop so bad it wasn't funny.
Oh,
And,
dude.
you know, it went 2-3x where my stops were. And so I was a little upset yesterday. Set me back a week of profits and said, I'm going to take a day or two to cool off. So
Listen, that was smart of you to take that day or two to cool off because that hurts, man. You know, especially them running past your stops like that. But good taking the time to cool. Good, and as bad as it did go through your stops, you know, only losing a week of profits, that's still great too. You know, good managing those trades. It could have been a
the
lot
learning
worse.
thing, you know, and this is kind of interesting because one of the arguments about technical analysis is that news is priced into the chart. And generally we kind of say, well, yeah, sort of, kind of. So I assumed that all the Trump tariff reactions were pretty much anticipated and priced into the chart. So I left my positions open, and that was stupid of me. I should have closed everything the day before, or before the announcements, and I didn't. And obviously we see I was wrong. So lesson to learn here, folks, is never assume.
Huh.
Always protect your capital first.
Yeah, no, never assume.
I'm not gonna. I was mad and all that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna cry about it.
Why
I'm
not?
like that anymore. I'm not gonna cry about it anymore.
Good. No, no reason to cry about it. Never be in a big enough trade that if you take a loss on it, you would cry about it, But good stuff. Good stuff. Good again. Good managing and good saying. Okay, now I got to take a day or two to recoup. Because a lot of people will revenge trade at that point. Yo, guys, look how high the VIX is right now. By the way, that's insane.
Looks like an inverse cup and handle. But
It looks like it's time to start loading up on some long put options on VIX. This is crazy. Let me see the daily on VIX here. Wow. Guys, if we could break above 50 to grab some... VIX has options, right? I could have sworn it does.
NQ's looking interesting, guys, soon. Just a heads up.
Nice. Thank you.
Well, that's the equity VIX you're on, not the futures. But either way.
Yeah. Bid and ask. I'd look for something far out the money, something over here cheap. Yeah, okay. $140 for an 18 strike, October 22nd. Again, guys, the higher we go, the cheaper these options get. Now, VIX usually ranges, and we see that it usually ranges, between like, 14 and maybe highs of like 23. So if we're able to get an option that's within that range while we're spiking up high like this, look at this. These spikes are very short-lived on VIX. They happen though, and we have to be aware of it, and we can't try to call a top on it. So when we get those options, we have to know that they could run red on us too. It's options trading. We have to be ready to lose the whole thing, because when we hold them overnight, they can swing really strong. So that's also why we would get leap options on these, so that it could take a month or two. But once it does drop hard, we will be in some good profits. Alright, let's see. No. Let's see. Sorry, it's answering something. Or blow broken, obviously, on gold. Failing the demand zones. Let's take a look at our equities. I always like to keep an eye on equities. Look at Microsoft's been pumping this morning. Microsoft's pumping. Apple tried to push back higher too. But now look at this. Nvidia new low a day. Tesla new low a day. We'll probably feel that on ESNQ right now. Yep. Those are moving lower too. There's that orb break lower on ESNQ. We keep an eye on equities to see if they want to find some support while ES is in demand.
What's Nvidia at?
Nvidia's at 95.63. God damn. Dude, that's amazing.
I don't know that I would count Edgeful as applicable right now, because we're in a highly chaotic period. As a matter of fact, I would say Edgeful probably comes back into play, say, Tuesday.
Yeah,
Because
I
we've got
agree. I agree.
tariffs, and we've got the weekend and stuff. So if I were using Edgeful, I'd wait till Tuesday.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right with Edgeful being, it's helpful, but when we're in markets that are extremely uncertain, that aren't following the norm or the basis, and we're using Edgeful to spot the norm and things that are happening in a high probability, then we really have to you know, sort of reconsider, second guess, or maybe even look to play the opposite. But that's crazy.
Or NK's good here to look at.
That's crazy, NVIDIA. 9069 next pivot on NVIDIA. Guys, buy NVIDIA. Not financial advice. Excuse me. Sorry, I had a tickle in my throat. But, you know, NVIDIA, even things like Bitcoin under like 75, I think is a pretty decent buy, seeing the highs it's gone to. Let's see, Bitcoin.
That's sort of like Tickle Me Kevin.
What's that?
Is that sort of like Tickle Me Kevin? You know, cousin to Tickle Me Elmo?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I was worried that's what you said. Look, 80,000 key level here on Bitcoin. I think anywhere in this 80,000, 75K would be like freaking gold. Because remember too, for us to move back to those all-time highs from these price levels, we're going to get a pretty good return on investment on that. 40% maybe. Whereas people, once you start buying the breakouts over here, really only looking for like, oh, get out of our way, a 16%. So you're almost you're over doubling your ROI on that. So just a thought. Long-term investment, of course. ES 30, 52.30 right down here in this demand zone. Super strong passive buyer. Yep, Mike, you got it. ES breaking orb. Broke the orb low. Same with gold. Weighted index trying to hold. Dude, I can't believe NVIDIA. That's wild. NVIDIA under 90 would probably be the best opportunity to buy and hold for NVIDIA. But we got to remember market context in a whole. If the market continues selling off like crazy, and let's look at this real quick on the daily, and I won't take more than 2 seconds. I maybe promise. Look at this daily candle. Look at these daily candles. The sell-off with volume increasing. Stronger sell-off breaking through this range. I don't know, man. 90.69. If we could reverse after sweeping 90.69, that's when I would look to start loading up on some NVIDIA shares. And again, same situation. We get in longs somewhere down over here, get some stocks. We're looking at potentially a 63% gain on a long-term investment. That's pretty great, if it could make its way back to those highs. And also, when you are getting in over here, you're able to be a little more careful with your stop loss, right? Maybe risk $8 per contract or $6 or something. Whereas if you get in somewhere up here when we're reversing, you got to be way more careful. Have a much wider stop loss. Okay, so here is ES in demand. Strong drop on the CVD to the downside. Very strong negative seller right there. Negative 1844 on this price level of 52.29.50. Now the question is, does the seller get trapped and we start to reverse and we get back above his price? Or what? Or does the seller find continuation because we've had sellers for this whole day? I like that we're starting to consolidate here, and also look at the absorption on Bookmap. This is the absorption indicator here. So it's showing 1400 absorption, 152, 119, all that absorption in this demand zone. So it is looking okay for possible long entry. And look for even just a scalp, you know, but we could look for that double break on the orb, but we could be careful here. It is in this demand zone on ES. It held this demand zone overnight. We have 242 left on the 5-minute. 15-minute also has 12 minutes left, and look how bearish that last 15-minute candle was. So we could wait. I do like how the volume's starting to line up nice for the longs. Same with, yeah, there we go. NASDAQ too, finding some buying pressure. Take a look at our equities. Microsoft pushing higher. Apple pushing higher. Meta trying. Nvidia trying to hold a low around 95.62 again. $18,050. This is where Jeremy said in the chat he wants to see us go. It's a fair value gap right there. He didn't say fair value gap, he just said 1850. I'm sure that's like a halfback or something. Let's see. Yeah, halfback, is it right? That's 1890. I don't know where he's getting that 1850. Key level maybe? Key psych level? Sellers aren't giving up without a fight here, but again, buyers coming off of this demand zone definitely leaning a little more bullish, seeing a lot of traders are going to be anticipating sellers continue today. Bum, 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 bum.
Got my gold. I got the NQ as well. That was a good level there.
Nice. There we go, buyers stepping in. I like that point of control starting to hold up here too on ES out of this demand zone. Nice, there we go, ES. But dude, I look at the CVD, negative 23,000. But again, that doesn't mean it's impossible to reverse at this point, right? Numbers can fluctuate. Buyers and sellers, these things fluctuate. Here we go. We're coming out of this demand zone. We got to remember too the mindset of the retail trader, right? If retail traders are failing and they're failing 90% of the time, or whatever the statistic is, 95%. Okay, well, right now I know that if they're hearing all this news about bear markets this, bear markets that, I even got a notification this morning saying how oil prices plunge, Wall Street comes to painful realization, all this negative news. Okay, well then I know that this morning if we're coming into a demand zone and we find buying pressure here, there is a chance we could reverse, because guess what? The amount of sellers is going to meet that buyers that is necessary or needed in the market for us to pull back. There we go, ES, beautiful.
On NQ, I'm looking to see if it could flip this level or not. Right now, it's a bearish level.
Nice. Yeah, that 18,058, 60.
Yeah, I'm on range, so it's more like a $10, $15 level. But yeah, like the
Gotcha.
from the 60 to 70 level if it's bearish. If it doesn't flip it, then I'd expect it to come back down into lower range.
Yo, so you have it on 80 range? Do you always use 80 range?
Well, I mean, today it was really moving, so to get a grasp of the market, I was at like 400 R, so like you could just type in 400 R to get a
Okay.
grasp of where it's going, you know what I mean?
Okay. I want to see, because I want to be able to see what you see quickly without having to make you screenshot it each time.
Yeah, normally though you could be on 80 and do wicked moves, but you could double click on it and make it not bars but candles if you wanted.
Yeah.
Right. I forget. Yeah, right there. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I mean, I don't have to tell you anything. You're gonna know exactly everything. You're gonna say, okay, like there's. Do you know what I mean?
Right, right.
So let's say on 400 it made a low and a buy up. It's nothing because it didn't beat that candle, as you know. But I mean, just to like kind of refresh, like let's say how I look at it. Um, on that 400, it didn't break that level, so it means nothing yet. I would then move down to like the 80 to see what I can get from it, right?
Okay.
Yeah, right now it means nothing because it didn't break that last red candle, the green one. So I'd just be chilling.
Right. Cool. Cool, man. Cool.
You sick of my screenshots? Is that what you're saying?
No, I feel you today. You had to send like phone screenshots. If you're looking at your computer and you don't have the right chart up or something, I want to make you have to go on everything.
No, I have you on my phone because I have my actual trading software up. So I don't mix the two, right? I just have that just so it doesn't overheat it or anything, right? Because
Yeah.
CQG runs really hot on your monitor, I find.
Yeah. All right. Let's see.
Gold is breaking an inverse head and shoulders to the north right now.
So right here,
Whatever
Kev,
you
on
want to
NQ.
do.
This is where I'd be looking on NQ. If it was going to bounce, it'd have to bounce right here.
And you're looking at what, the
Not saying it does,
400
but if
range?
it was going to bounce, because it didn't break that high we were looking at, like it means nothing.
Right.
So if it was going to bounce to attempt it again, it would be right here.
Gotcha. Send a screenshot.
You bastard.
Well, which range are you looking at? 80 or 400 right now?
Yeah, so if you're looking at 80, you can see the last red candle, right?
This one over
So
here?
it'd be the last on the left, like the last red candle on the left, right? At the bottom, same thing as supply and demand. You
Okay.
see that? So it'd have to bounce in this area, like right here, or it just becomes like, as you know, it just becomes resistance, right?
Yep.
So
Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's crazy. That's really low time frame.
yeah, sorry, man. Like I know you don't. Like you can the better trades are like for somebody like you that trades bigger trades and stays in longer would be like 200R, 400R because those moves are gonna have you're gonna have less moves and you could plan better. So it's
Yeah.
like you might be 200, 400, and 1000. I'm a scalper, so I'm on the lower, but I use 400 and 1000 all the time. To me is a higher time frame so that I can get a grasp of where the markets will bounce.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I like too, obviously the range is different for ES and NQ. Like look how fast the NASDAQ moves sometimes in comparison to ES. ES takes a while
Yeah.
to make these. NASDAQ flies through them.
Yeah, it's different for ES. ES is a very strong asset though. Like on range, you could do what was I looking at? Like, well, I'm a scalper, so what I think is better is not going to equate to you, but like 100 would be $25 on ES, and that might be your starting point. If you have 100 on, what does it look like to you to do exactly what you always do? I'd be interested in you doing it because obviously I trade supply and demand, but that's like all you do. And
Yeah.
I got onto supply and demand after quite a lot of years of inconsistent consistency, right? So I love it because it's the most consistent I've ever been. But I'd like to see your take on range levels because that'd be cool, man. Range like to what I'm missing, what I'm getting wrong, all that stuff.
Yeah, no, that would be cool because they complement each other pretty well. My supply and demand and your range entries.
Yeah, like I'm just like I'm not gonna say I'm copying you, but like I'm copying like let's say an expert eye level of supply and demand. But again, like um, you'd probably be able to give me much more like in depth look into like I looked at that one, but I didn't look at this one, and I certainly didn't look at it that way, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
So if it loses here, like if it closes like here and whatever, then I could look at it to be what would you call that? Breaker block? But is that right? Or I just look at it supply and demand. Now it's broken. Now it could be resistance for a short.
Well, that's
Oh,
exactly how I look at it too. But at this point, people
right.
see it as like, yeah, like a breaker block because it's originally an
Yeah.
order block and then it's broken. It's a breaker block. Same with supply and
Right.
demand. It's a demand zone. We break it. Now it's a supply zone. Support
Right.
zone. Break it. It's resistance.
Yeah. Exactly. I look at it that way, like from that level. Yeah.
Fat seller just stepped in on ES. Look at that CVD drop. Negative 24,000. Negative 24 million. I'm just kidding. $1 million with the pinky. Like, what's it called? Oh my god.
Dr. Evil.
Dr.
Yep.
Evil. Yeah.
Yep. That's the market right now. The market has been Dr. Evil the past 5 weeks. But guys, listen, if
So you
you're at,
see, man, look at that. From a scalper level, you could see like it broke that level I marked that I told you about on
yep,
80 range. And then from a scalping level exclusively, I flipped short for 500, and you could see like you're out immediately. Like five
yeah.
contracts, 500. It's like bang out. But
Wow,
you
look
have
at
to have
that.
that narrative, which you do have, but
Yep.
it's like people don't talk about it, right? Where it's like, here I'm planning on a long if it meets my criteria, but if it flips this, but you have to flip your brain fast for that, right?
Yeah. No, it does. It does take a lot. I don't like Nasdaq on Bookmap has been like crap lately too. Like these long black areas, like it's not useful.
Well, NASDAQ's got a lot of scattered pricing. I
Right.
mean, as far as the DOM is concerned versus the ES, which has got a lot more contracts
Yeah.
per tick. And so ES is always cleaner on Bookmap. You just have to learn.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
speaking to
Of course. Of course, dude. Everything takes time and experience. Especially experience. And experience comes with time.
Oh, so you, oh,
No, I
I
didn't
thought
take
you
that.
just entered in, I thought you just entered in blind, like with your kids' tuition, no?
Me right here?
Just anyone, really.
No. Oh.
Joke.
No, yeah, you're supposed to just full port everything.
Yeah, I find that's the best way. I think that's what most people use your pension as well. Why not?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stock traders actually, they go full port plus full margin into trades for scalps.
That's
Um,
crazy. Listen, if
it
you're that
is.
confident that it's gonna move, then you take it. That's pretty cool, man. I like that range. I'll mess around with that. I'll get into that. That's pretty cool. And we'll work together on. I'll show you the more supply and demand and stuff. You help
Yeah,
me
I
figure out.
appreciate it. Look at my screenshot. But it lost the area. I waited for it to come back in, and I took it for a short, right?
Yep. Very clean. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Great job today, everybody. Patience is key.
I just bailed on it in case it makes a higher low. I had it a little low. Usually I put it at near the bottom of the last black candle on there. But anyway, the point is, yeah, it is supply and demand though, right? Like how the
Yeah.
methodology of
Yeah.
that, it's just on range. That's all.
Exactly. All right, ladies and gents, I do have to wrap up today's stream just a little early today. I do apologize on that. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, though. Hopefully, if you are in a state that's finally getting into some nicer weather, like I know New York is finally pushing the 60s, enjoy it. Touch some grass, as they say in the video game world.
What? You gotta take TV out for a boo boo.
Yeah, take the dogs out, walk the dogs, go for a walk, enjoy the weather, enjoy some time.